Hello, hello. Welcome to MTG Unraveled, where we each choose a magic card and over-explain it to distract you from your current hyperfixation. I'm Rafa.
And I'm Ryan. Thanks for joining us. Normally, each of us has picked a specific card to talk about, but today we are doing something a little bit different.
Yes, today we only have one extra special card, and we will be talking about it because there is a lot to go into.
So while we both know the card, we still want to give you guys an opportunity to guess what it is.
Yep, so our card today is a 0 mana artifact.
I'm sure that you know specifically exactly what that is off that because there's so little of them out there, right?
I mean, there's a few. You got Lotus Petal, the band, sadly, Jeweled Lotus. Yeah, we're both big Jeweled Lotus fans. Bring it back.
You've also got all of the different moxes.
All the moxes. You have Tormod's Crypt, which is Graveyard Hate for free.
Yep.
Yeah, but that is not this card today.
Although some of them are closely related to our
Yes.
card.
Yeah. What's the text box?
Okay, so there's actually the original text in the text box, and then it's been redacted a few times because it's an older card. So the original text box states, add 3 mana of any single color of your choice to your mana pool, then is discarded. Tapping this artifact can be played as an interruption.
Sounds like an old card.
Yeah, you don't see
100%.
interruption on newer cards.
No.
It's just, it can be done instantly, and most of the time that's implied. The first redaction of it says, sacrifice card name, add 3 mana of any one color to your mana pool. And the last redaction of the card is sacrifice card name, add 3 mana of any one color. So they just kind of shortened it up a bit
Oh,
with
yeah.
that last one.
As soon as you said the first text box, everyone knows this
Oh,
card.
yeah. Everyone got it.
Yep. Yeah. So, yes, today we are talking about the one and only Black Lotus. For the 9th episode of our podcast, we thought it was perfect to kick off a short series that discusses the Power 9.
And what a better way to start it out than the card that is heralded as the most powerful card to ever be printed in Magic, literally labeled as the crown jewel of the Power 9.
So I'll explain the card a bit. It's certainly one of those reading the card explains the card situations for most, but to quickly cover it for any listeners who are newer to the game, to understand why this card is so powerful and honestly just broken, Black Lotus is cast for 0 mana and sacrifices to gain 3 mana of any color with virtually no downside. After a bit in the think tank, the only downside I could come up with is it doesn't inherently replace itself as a card in your hand, and it goes to the graveyard when you use it, although I think that's an upside. However, it can be played in any deck, and there are a multitude of cards that can be played in tangent to resolve those downfalls. There's a lot of ways to break this card. A lot of ways.
Yeah,
And
absolutely a ton.
it would be an absolute dream to turn 0 Leyline of Anticipation into a Black Lotus and a Rhystic Study after that. Oh, Rhystic Study before the game even starts. Yes, please.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. And with the relatively recent debacle of Jeweled Lotus and Dockside Extortionist being banned, I think most people are aware of Graveyard Recursion and how bonkers that can be. I mean, if you could play this with an Underworld Breach.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So if Black Lotus is so powerful, why don't we see it in basically every deck like Sol Ring? Or even some decks at that.
Yeah, so we're going to unpack that together little by little. Starting off, we're going to talk about where can this card be played, because that's a major reason why we don't see it as often as we do. So it is completely banned in Commander, Oathbreaker, and Legacy. And then it's not legal in Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Alchemy, Historic, Brawl, Timeless, Pauper, and Penny due to their format restrictions. It's restricted play in Vintage, meaning you can only have 1 copy of it in a deck as opposed to your normal, you can have 4 copies of a card. So you can still play it, but you can only have 1 because it's broken. And then it is a whopping 7 points out of the 10 you're allotted for Canadian Highlander.
But at least you could say you've played it if you've played it in one of those.
Which I'm sure many people would love to be able to do because it's that card.
The way I hear of people playing a Black Lotus more than anything else, though, is like a cube.
Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't a format per se, but it's fun.
Yeah, we actually saw somebody who was picking up a cube that had the whole power 9 in it.
Yeah.
And understandably, they were like, stay 10 feet back from the table.
Yeah.
Nobody move a muscle. Because these cards are
Yeah, it's
insanely hard to
yeah.
get your hands on. The first release of this card was in alpha. It's been around since the inception of Magic.
1993, a good year.
It's an okay year. 92's better. um, so for alpha, there were 2.6 million cards printed in the set, 295 unique cards, and only 1,100 of those cards were Black Lotus. So starting from the get, it was one of those really rare to pull in a pack cards. And when that happened, they went, okay, we need to reprint this card because it's high in demand. So then it was printed in beta, and there were 3,300 copies of the card, which beta is basically alpha with 23 card corrections and 7 new unique cards that were added. So there were 7.3 million cards, and they still only printed 3,300 Black Lotus. So the ratio really didn't change that much. And then it was printed again in Unlimited, which is just a complete reprint set of beta, where they printed 35 million cards, way more, and went up to 18,000 copies of Black Lotus printed. Again, not changing the ratio.
No, it's a rare. It's supposed to stay rare.
Yeah. And Unlimited was completely released in response to the higher than expected demand of Magic as a game. And they wanted to saturate the market with Magic cards more because people were having a hard time getting their hands on even any of the cards. All 45 million cards from Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited sold within 7 months of Magic's first hitting store shelves, which is insane.
Yeah, it was in high demand as a game overall, not just Black
Yeah.
Lotus.
I'm sure Garfield and the crew had no expectation that it was going to take off the way that it did and become the huge game that it is today.
Yeah.
It has, despite the fact that you can only play it in really 2 formats, it's been reprinted a total of 16 times. Mind you, only 3 of those prints are legal to play, and that is the Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited copies. All of the other reprints are not legal to play in either Vintage or Canadian Highlander.
Yeah, we'll get to that reason too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has 7 distinct arts. The original Black Lotus, the one that everybody thinks of, was done by the late Christopher Rush, who was just absolutely influential on Magic and Magic art and design from the beginning. He played a hand in over 100 different Magic cards, including a lot with the Power 9 and Black Lotus.
Wow.
Yeah, he also was part of the design of all of the mana pips and the backing of Magic cards. Yeah, intrinsic to playing Magic and knowing Magic and being a part of it. So, an absolutely amazing artist. His art was also put onto a 30th anniversary edition, a 90s promo, and the 2003 Vintage Championship art.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other arts were done by Chris Ron, Stephen Belladin, Raul Vitali, Jarrell Threat, and Scott M. Fisher, and those were all done for different championship prize cards
Yeah.
in various years.
This card's on the reserved list, so let's talk about what the reserved list is. It's played a critical role in the discussion of Black Lotus. You can't talk about Black Lotus without talking about the reserved list. And another thing to note about Black Lotus as well is it's iconic outside of just players in Magic. Like if you
Oh, yeah.
don't know anything about Magic the Gathering, if you were to know a card, Black Lotus is the card that people would be like, "Oh, I think that's from Magic," even if you don't play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't call it the face of Magic, but it is probably the most recognized card.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree.
It was originally published by Wizards of the Coast on March 14th, 1996, the
March
reserve
4th.
list, in response to consumer concern about the effect of subsequent reprints on card value in the secondary market. So basically, people were like, if you're just going to reprint these cards aren't worth the price. How are we supposed to know if we should buy them or not? With a lot of cards today, you can
Yeah.
see the price climb up until they reprint it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you wish they'd reprint a card, and instead you get more reprints of cards you don't want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still an issue to today.
Yeah, yeah, but the reserve list is basically a promise of we won't reprint these cards, and they keep their promise.
Yeah.
It was revised in 2002. 25 common and uncommon cards were removed from the list, including iconic cards such as Soul Ring, Demonic Tutor, and Basalt Monolith.
Which I didn't know before that Soul Ring was ever on the reserved list. Can you imagine Soul Ring being on the reserved list? What that card would look like in price today?
It just wouldn't be Commander legal, I don't think.
No, I don't think it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's Commander legal. I want to play fun cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Demonic Tutor?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I didn't know that one was ever on the reserve list
No,
either.
any
But we
of
never
those.
played back then, so.
Yeah.
In 2010, they tried to get tricky with technicalities. They suggested that the original policy didn't state anything about premium versions of the cards and reprinted premium versions of reserve list cards in 2 sets. And to me, honestly, that feels like they hired a lawyer and were like, hey, how can we make money off these cards? Because we told everyone we won't reprint them. And they're like, well, you didn't say anything about making fancy ones. Yeah, which
Yeah.
is not great.
No, it seems intuitive that it would be implied that no reprints of the cards, but
Yeah,
like you said, legal technicalities, guess you can get around them.
yeah.
Should they have? No.
I almost disagree because there is an argument that even with other cards that aren't on the reserve list, the older ones hold their value for the most part, even if they get reprinted in a new fancy looking version. I can't think of any card off the top of my head, but if you look at a card and it gets reprinted with a nicer version, the old one is still worth quite a bit because of how few there are. There's still only 1,100 Alpha Black Lotuses, no matter what they do today, and those will still have some serious value, even if they did make a fancy looking Black Lotus.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right to an extent, I think, because I think the price would fall somewhat.
Oh yeah, it would if
Because
it was
not
more
everyone
accessible.
who is out there looking for a Black Lotus is looking for, I want the old one because I'm a collector, because I was playing back then and never got my hands on one, or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
Some people are just like, I just want this card. Why wouldn't I buy the cheaper version?
yeah.
And so the demand would slightly go down, so would the price.
Most players would just buy the cheaper one. The collector wouldn't. The person who's
Yeah.
looking to try and collect everything. And no one who owns one of those Black Lotuses right now would sell it for a lesser price just because there was a fancier looking Black Lotus out. Put simply today, the reserve list consists of 572 cards that Wizards of the Coast has agreed never to reprint in any tournament legal physical form to preserve a card's value on the secondary market.
And also, just to mention, Wizards did go back and revise the way the reserved list works again to say, no, we will not print any of those cards in any version ever again.
And then they did Magic 30.
And then they did Magic 30.
Um,
But those aren't, I don't know. I don't know the legality of it, but
yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, Magic 30, we didn't buy any. I didn't want any. I still don't want any. I didn't know the word of command that I was talking about with Kenny is a Magic 30 $50 version. I don't want that version. The regular one's like hundreds.
I didn't know it was reprinted in Magic 30 either.
It holds the title for most valuable card when it comes to the raw market numbers. On Card Kingdom, if they had an Alpha Black Lotus, it would be anywhere, depending on its condition, from $149,999.99, important, to $60,000. So anywhere from 150 to 60 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Insane. You could put a down payment on a house or buy a Black Lotus.
Yeah.
Insane.
Obviously, you would choose the Black Lotus.
Yeah, I'll live under my Black Lotus.
Yeah.
You can eat it if you need to. The beta version on Card Kingdom also out of stock. It ranges from anywhere from 36,000 to 14, a little over 14,000. And the unlimited one at the low price of 22,000 to 9,000 approximately.
So obviously, you're not going to get them at Card Kingdom. So we also
Yeah.
checked out TCG Player.
Yeah, TCG Player has 7 listings. They were anywhere from $53,500 to $119,750 for an alpha. The betas ranged anywhere from $18,950 to $55,757 for between the 11 different listings. And unlimiteds were a little cheaper. There were 33 of them, and they ranged anywhere from 8,500 to 30 grand.
But let me tell you, if you're looking at the lower spectrum,
They look rough.
oh boy. These people sat outside on a hot summer day, played on the concrete, spilled some Kool-Aid on it, and then shoved it in their back pocket and went home.
I'll take a dirty Black Lotus.
Oh. So, how did we get to this point with the price? I went and looked at kind of the price history with notable sales that happened. And if you start with when it was originally released, so from the get-go, we're looking at $100 outside of pulling one out of a fresh pack.
Yeah.
Wish.
$100 back then too in the 90s is more than $100 today.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So from the get-go, it was already a very sought-after expensive card.
Yep.
You fast forward to 2002, the value had risen to around the $500 range. And then 10 years later, it skyrocketed to over $27,000. And this again is just for like your average one. And at this point, we're only talking about Alpha Lotuses because nobody really cares about Beta or Unlimited. Are we kidding? So some notable sales that have happened is back in 2019, there was an eBay auction sale for an Alpha Black Lotus, BGS graded 9.5, and it sold for $166,100. And that was the first big notable sale online that I could find for a graded Lotus. And then in 2021, there was an eBay auction for an Alpha signed case, PSA 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
the dream.
For $511,100. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Some people like really love to hate on signed cards. Like
I like 'em.
I can tell you that from when I first started playing, I did not grasp the concept that signed cards were worthless. I was
Yeah.
like, no, the artist signed it. Doesn't that make it more valuable? No, because now it's a damaged card, which is insane to me. And then the next notable one that I found was in 2022, and everybody knows about this one because it's Post Malone, bro.
You know, he's not
And
universally liked. There are probably people out there that don't know this.
if you don't like Post Malone, we can't be friends. Anyway. And Post Malone purchased a signed artist proof. So not even like the actual card, but a signed artist proof for $800,000, which there's approximately only 50 that are known to exist
Yeah.
of the Black Lotus. And obviously you're not getting any more of those, unfortunately. And then after that, it was the sale that came after the sale of the One Ring that we all know about.
Yep.
Because the One Ring beat out Black Lotus for like a smidgen of time for the most expensive Magic card. I think it was 2.4 million.
I don't remember.
Something like that.
No.
2 point something million. And then somebody bought a CGC Pristine 10, which I just don't know enough about card grading because I didn't even know there was a difference between a 10 and a Pristine 10. But that was bought for $3 million in a private sale that came from obviously the buyer stayed anonymous. and the seller was Adam Kai of Pristine Collectibles.
Huh.
And it is now, again, the most expensive card of all time. And I am 100% in the few that I'm like, I think this is a conspiracy. They just wanted Black Lotus back on top so that the One Ring wasn't the most expensive because it's the Black Lotus.
Who's they?
The Illuminati.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
I
what
don't
they're
know.
concerned.
I'm just saying. Like, you jumped from $800,000 to $3 million. I get that it's a pristine 10 and whatever, but that's a giant jump for a card that that's always been insanely expensive, but has never even touched close to that price. And it's just barely above so that it beats out the One Ring. I don't know, guys. I don't dig into conspiracy theories much, but I haven't seen proof.
Getting to the lore, it is widely thought that the Black Lotus is inspired by Robert E. Howard's story, Queen of the Black Coast. Within the story, Black Lotuses are rare blooms used by necromancers who burn the pollen and inhale the smoke, which causes a coma like sleep and nightmares, but in turn restores their magical powers. So,
Yeah, which makes sense because it's a mana source.
yeah.
And it's one of the most powerful mana sources ever to exist.
Well, in magic, you sacrifice it just like you would burn it.
Yep.
And then you get magical powers from it to cast spells.
Yeah.
So next time, if you're ever playing, if you are one of the lucky people who play Black Lotus, just say you're snorting it to start casting spells. Within Magic, it originates on Dominaria. It was discovered by young Adam Carthalion and was kept in House Scarlet. Jared Carthalion stole it after the mistress of House Scarlet let him in and showed it to him, and later used it to summon a Shivan dragon to kill some dude named Ravidel, who was a wildly really bad guy that initiated the Planeswalker War in a quest for vengeance and power.
I think it's really cool that it relates to other, like, big old cards.
Yeah, the Black Lotuses were also reportedly grown on Teleria in Lotus Vale, though it's difficult to substantiate because Magic doesn't keep consistent with their lore, and as later information makes no mention of it.
Yep.
Yeah. The wizard Towser found a few Black Lotuses in the area of Whispering Woods as well. Is about the only other lore we came across.
Yeah. I mean, literally, it's the same with every other, especially older Magic card before they like really got into the lore, and there's that little bit, a lot of like speculation, and it's up to your imagination.
So the only people who own this card have stupid amounts of disposable income or have had it since a
Yeah.
long time ago. So the question I want to ask you is a Corvette or a Black Lotus? Yeah, that's tough.
I have to go with the Black Lotus.
Are you serious?
Bro, I don't even leave the house. We like to make a joke that I'm a houseplant. And if I'm exposed to too much, like too much sun, too much wind, not just the right temperature, then I'll wilt and die. So why do I need a Corvette?
You don't have to
I'm
talk
not
to
going
people,
anywhere.
but you can't play it in Commander anyway, so
Oh, yeah, because that stops us with our jeweled lotus on the wall and
that's
our
fair.
dockside and our mana crypt, not vault.
We have a mana crypt up there?
Yeah. You don't remember that? I was not forthcoming in telling him that I bought a box of mystery boosters. And then had to tell him because I was dying of excitement that we pulled a mana crypt. And mind you, this was, I think it was maybe like 4 or 5 months before it got banned. So I was super excited. I threw that in my Paco and Halden deck, kicked his butt, killed him turn 2 with Paco, and then it was banned. So anyway, Black Lotus, super cool card. As you can see, there was a lot of information, which is why we did a special episode for it, because this would not have fit in with doing a second card. I'm sure you guys are already like, man, when will these guys shut up?
I can talk about Magic all day.
Which we are going to go back to our normal formatting, and at the end of every episode, we like to talk about one of our hyperfixations. So what do you have for us today?
Yeah, so lately you had posted that you wanted to build a deck, and we usually both build a deck if we're building a deck. So I was like, oh, I gotta find a new deck. So I started looking at different colors because we're trying to do the 32 colors, and I started looking at different commanders in those color pairs, and I decided that I just have all the decks ever, that there's nothing new, just different flavors, which isn't true. There's always something new. But deck building is so extensive.
Mm-hmm.
So extensive. There's so much to it. And then you put these 120 cards together because it's never just 100. And you're like, will this even work once I try it? That's the hardest part. And we've built, I don't know how many, I mean, it's probably what, between the two of us, we've probably built 50 to 100 commander decks, including ones that we've only played, once or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit of deck building at this point for a Magic player in Commander. Because, I mean, you build one deck and you play it for years sometimes. Like
Yeah.
Atraxa.
Oh, yeah. I am someone that I think I've only taken apart or gotten rid of 2 decks at this point, and then I have kind of rebuilt a few. Like Atla was not originally dinosaur tribal. It was really gross creature tribal.
Yeah, but you replaced 25 creatures with 25 other creatures. The other 75 cards didn't really change that much. Maybe a couple, 10 of them or something.
I changed a few more than that because I did replace some things to make it more flavorful because that's the other part of deck building that I enjoy. Like if I'm going to build a typal deck, then I want it to have the flavor. So like I took out one piece of removal, I don't know what it was, and put in the dinosaur chomp spell,
Oh,
the fight spell,
yeah.
because it's flavorful, you know? Um, but no, building a deck there's so much that goes into it. I know one of the things that we have been talking about a lot and struggling with is, okay, what bracket do we want to put this in and
Yeah.
how feasible is it? Because on a couple episodes ago, you were talking with Nuke MTG, Kenny, and he was talking about how he very much enjoys higher power like bracket 4 or CEDH, but he's come to enjoy and accept bracket 3 and lower. And I can tell you that, at least for me, 90% of my decks are bracket 3 because I enjoy higher power as well. But what stops me from pushing it to being fully optimized with an intent of winning earlier is the availability of good enough cards that don't wreck our wallet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why most of them end up bracket 3.
That's why most of them end up bracket 3 because we build a deck with an intent to be powerful and then go, well, we don't have an extra copy of any of the free spells. Should I really spend the money to buy that Katara Fierce Guardianship? I did, just so you know.
It's so pretty. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. And that, again, another part of it is I also am a shiny cardboard addict. So if I see the pretty version of the card, like I've been needing to buy what is it? An Enduring Curiosity?
Oh, the pretty one though is so pretty. It's so cute.
I refuse. I refuse to buy the cheap version.
Isn't it like
I've
over $100 for the? It's like
Well, it
in the
depends.
3
It
digits.
depends on if you get just the pretty art or if you get this fancy foil, and that makes a big difference.
Would you like this $10
Either
card
way,
for hundreds?
yeah, it's the difference of quite a lot of money, but why am I spending $10 on a card that I don't really want in the deck?
It's still cute.
It is cute, but it's not as good.
Yeah, if you don't want it in a deck, don't spend hundreds of dollars for the pretty one. If you wouldn't even put it in
No, no,
that
no.
deck
I
for 10
want the
bucks.
card in the deck. I want the pretty one. That's
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
saying.
Bruh.
Which stops me from, buying certain cards that I want to upgrade decks and whatever else. And then you do come across one of those decks that I had put in together and pretty much did the same thing where I was like, I want a deck that does something different. So I found a mechanic that I had never seen before and was like, oh, this is going to be powerful and great. I played it once. Number one, everyone hated it. And it didn't do quite as well as I had anticipated, but I recognized after that one game, that this was never going to be a deck that I was going to be able to sit down at a table and even get a win in, because everyone was going to go, this is a Trotta.
Yeah. You hit me at least once with it. I let you hit me before I removed it.
Yeah, I'm also really bad at just picking on a player. Because I have a couple of decks that want you to do that, Paco and Halden being an example. And most of the time, I would feel bad, unless you're you and you make me upset, so I just take you out turn 2. Most of the time, I have a really hard time just going, okay, I'm picking you. Sorry. You're going to be out first. And then I'll go for the next one. So I spread the damage or whatever out. And with a Trotta, you can't spread out the hit counters. You want to go bam, bam, bam,
Yep.
bam, bam, bam. Because otherwise you have all 3 players looking at you going, I have 2 hit counters. So deck building it's so many steps. Sometimes it's super easy and you're like, that is a commander that I know that I will like. And if you're like me, that's every Naya commander that's ever released. And then, like we said, we're doing the 32 deck challenge, and it's the bane of my existence because I already have a Naya deck. I'm not taking Atla apart. I love my Atla dinos so much, but that does not mean that I wouldn't love and appreciate Balin, Voha, Toph just as much.
Yeah.
But I can't build those until we finish this freaking 32 deck challenge.
Yeah. It's just deck building is so tough that, like, how do you get it down to 100? How do I have all my decks down to 100? That's the part that I'm sitting here like, how did I do this?
Yeah, every single time we help each other out with making cuts at the very end. And it always gets down to like, oh, I need to remove 3, 4, 5 more cards. It's impossible.
Yeah,
All of
those
these cards are good.
They all have justifications for why they should be in the deck.
And then you end up just going, whoop, whoop, whatever. We'll try them later.
It's not that willy-nilly, but
No.
yeah, I mean, that's how it feels though. You're just like, I guess this one.
90% of the time, it's, well, we don't own this card, but we do own this card. I've even made cuts that aren't as like beneficial or good just because we don't own one of the cards and we do own the other one. Like this card is subjectively worse, but it's in my hand. And we're always trying to save those pennies because those pennies go towards the next deck.
Yep.
And the next deck. Yeah, so check out our TikTok and give me your opinions. I have a couple of commanders that I want to build, and I'd love to get opinions on which one I should do first.
Yeah. How can people find us on the internet?
Like I said, you can find us at Dicentric Games on TikTok and Twitch.
Yep, we also host games on Spell Table every Tuesday. If you would like to catch a game with us, we will make announcements in the Discord. Join the Discord and check for those announcements.
Yeah. We hope you learned something new. Let us know if there's anything interesting about the card that we talked about, or what you found interesting from today's episode.
If you would like to share any of the quirks that Magic has hidden in their cards, join the Discord in the description. If you have questions or suggestions for the show, please leave a comment or send us an email.
We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your week.
Click all the buttons.
Do all the things.
And we'll see you next time.